Hey everyone, welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Van. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, life coach to women, and author, I've spent my life studying and learning from the stories that make us human. It's my passion and goal to help you shift your mindset and create a lifelong revolution to help you reach your greatest potential. Our lives are constantly bombarded with endless to-do lists, obligations, and emotional ups and downs, and even events that rock us off balance, which often has us searching for new ways to unblock our lives, clear old patterns, and find some sense of balance and peace. This is especially true if we're on a personal development journey, healing, or getting our lives together. This week, we're going to take a one-on-one deep dive into a practice that allows us to do just that. What is it? It's meditation. Now, this isn't your typical conversation about breathing and quieting the mind. We're taking a journey through the science, the benefits, breaking down meditation myths, and I'll hand over what most people do wrong when they start their practice. This is one conversation that gives you the tools to use your mind to your greatest benefit. So let's shift our perspective and our ability to heal and create inner calm. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast starts right now. All right off the bat, many of you will be suspicious, cautious, uncertain, if you want to call it that, of the time we're about to spend together. You know, the words or thoughts of actively trying to meditate make some people's brains literally itch. I've heard it all, right? The very idea makes some people recoil into a mountain of excuses and shifts their minds into a place of lack and negativity. I get it though. I do. I really, truly get it. I've heard all the excuses. I've even made them myself, right? If you've listened to me speak or you've heard this podcast regularly, you know that meditation is literally my jam. I speak about it often, but it's with good reason. I promise. Beyond the fact that I'm a trained instructor, I've seen meditation transform people's lives, literally take them from what they perceive as broken into a space of living as their truest, greatest, and highest self. It's such a beautiful thing. And I promise that's not some wild statement. It's cold, hard fact. I've watched so many women connect with themselves on a level that they didn't even know was even possible. I've watched the natural state of inner peace change people from the inside out. I've seen healing and realization, release and understanding. You know, it's boiled to the surface in a way that sometimes therapy and coaching just can't do, right? Sometimes these modalities and these practices and talk therapy and all of these things, you know, we struggle sometimes to reach people at their greatest soul level, at the place where we know that they can reset. And sometimes that journey is much more inward than outward. And that's really where meditation comes in. In fact, the first person's life that I watched this happen to, right, this life revolution, getting their life together, was within my own. That's a story that I'll share with you in just a moment, I promise. But in the meantime, I beg that you suspend your, let's call it preconceived notions about meditation. Maybe you're someone who just says, you know, that's too woo-woo for me. I can't do it. Or I'm just not interested. I'm going to ask that you suspend your intense argument for your vast limitations of time and space and misaligned thoughts that may bump up against long-held beliefs and perhaps even your desire, right? And I'm asking you to take a journey with me, to spend a little bit of time with me now and let me give you some cold, hard, scientific facts, some really beautiful evidence of meditation working in real time. And then I'm going to give you a very simple practice to get you started. Or if you are already a meditator, a practice that will help you get back to that beginner mindset, because we always need that, and help you kind of shift a little bit more. As far as suspending your disbelief, I also need you to put down any limiting statements that you may have, right? So if you are already in that space of, I cannot meditate, I've tried and it doesn't work, You have no idea how busy this brain is. I can never shut my mind off. I don't want to sit in silence. There's too much to really unpack, or you have no idea how loud it is inside of my head, Danielle. Or even, I've heard this one so many times, meditation just isn't for me. Or the last one, which is often the most used excuse, I really don't even have time. Right? I want you to quiet the nonsense, please, because all of those statements come down to you've gone about meditation all wrong, or your mindset's not in the right place, or you're actually putting up barriers against a practice that may actually be the one key that creates exactly what you've been looking for all along. Now, before we dive into the science and the benefits, let me remind you that life isn't, it's just not nearly as complicated as we make it. Let me also remind you that your natural state of being is not, nor has it ever been, stress, fear, anxiety, grief, that sense of drowning that you feel, or any other negative emotion that churns within you. Think about it. You did not arrive on this earth and think, well, damn, what now? Right? You didn't have a negative disposition when you were first born or even as a child. That is not your natural state of being. Your natural state is actually that of peace and calm and joy, love, gratitude. It's all of these beautiful things that are wrapped up in this inner being in which you are. It's just that those beautiful things, that natural state has been released along the way, along your path in favor of those things that we often feel are misfortunate and tragic, misdirected, unlucky, or even the conditioning that we experience. All of those things has us constantly laying down the good and opting for the hard. Add that to the fact that there's been rhetoric passed down for generations that in order to progress, in order to have significant value or reward or greatness in your life, you must first struggle. The harder you work, the greater it will be. No pain, no gain. You know what? That's a lie. It's a mistruth that is meant to keep you small. Yes, we need to work hard, but none of us have been meant to only suffer. We are not here only to endure the hard in hopes that we can create something great from it. Will the hard come? Absolutely. But we can use those moments to work for us, to build upon them, to, really excel ourselves, not only to live in a state of upset and hardness and, a lack of joy. And there is a way to reach our natural state again, to go back to that place that we first arrived in, and that joy, in that peace, in that ability to really hold ourselves in a beautiful state. And the way to reach back is meditation. Another thing before we get into the nuts and bolts of things, all right? I want to let you in on a secret that changes your self-permission and gives you the ability to open your mind and your soul to the practice of meditation. And that secret is, there is no right or wrong way to meditate. Oh, I promise you, so many people are going to argue with that statement. They're going to disagree, say, absolutely not. That's not the truth. And I say, let them. I really don't care. Meditation is called a practice for a reason. Meditation is not something you master. It's not a step-by-step progress. It's an individual self-exploration tool that takes you inside. How could something be called right or wrong when it's so individual? It can't be. So what is meditation exactly? And if you're not a new beginner, right, to this notion, please understand that we're going to go a little deeper than normal, than what you normally get in a meditation class or a blog or whatever it is, a book. I really want to save you hours of frustration. I know I experienced them when I started my practice, and I want to hand over the things that are essential and the meaning behind meditation. So meditation literally translates to calming the whirlpool of the mind, taming the mind, or the storyteller, as I like to call the mind. I love the actual definition of meditation because it removes the mystery and boils it down to simple facts. The collective meaning or definition says meditation is to engage in a mental exercise, such as the concentration of breath or a mantra. A mantra, for those who do not know, is a statement such as, I am loved, or I am worthy, or anything else that's directed in a positive frame of mind. These statements and the meditation surrounding them are really to help move you back into center and become really the reflection of the mind, the storyteller. Some religions use the word meditation in exchange for or to mean prayer. Even at its simplest, this practice helps you rearrange your perspective. It helps you heal. It helps even to remove the idea that everything we're trying to get to is fulfillment. And once we get to fulfillment, that's when peace is achieved. Actually, that's quite backwards. Peace must be found within you for everything to feel like it's in perfect alignment. That's when fulfillment comes into your life. While meditation offers much more, there are a few truths about the practice that I want to clear up for those doubters or non-practitioners who really may be using these excuses as the roadblock to get started. Let's quickly dig into a few false thoughts, before we get to the science. So false thought number 1 about meditation is that the act of fostering calm and meditation goes against organized religion. I've heard this so many times, more times than I can actually count. Whatever your beliefs, meditation in one sense or another is founded, or can be found at least, within the roots and practices of most major religions. If religion is your excuse, it may be time to, open your religious texts and dive into it a bit deeper. One of the big things that I often will ask about is, what does the statement meditate on my word mean? It's a really important thing. Prayer and meditation go hand in hand a lot of times. And so I will just leave that with you to say, if this is your excuse, you may want to look deeper into the roots of what you are practicing. False thought number 2, meditation is the only way or the ultimate goal of relaxation. It's sitting and breathing, the end. Relaxation is actually a byproduct of meditation. It is not the goal. The end goal is shanti, which means peace and insight. Instead, think of meditation as the introduction to your mind, to the storyteller, to yourself, instead of a way to breathe, reset, and move on. That will occur in time, but it's not the end goal. Really, the end goal is to know yourself intimately, to help your brain, to help recenter and bring yourself back into a state of peace. But relaxation, byproduct, okay? So false thought number 3, to meditate correctly, you have to be able to silence your thoughts and bring your mind completely to stillness. Maybe that should be number 1, right? Because most people think, well, I can't meditate because I can't quiet my mind. Listen, you have somewhere between 50 and 60,000 thoughts a day. Do you honestly think that you can turn off all of those thoughts? No, of course not. Even just telling yourself to stop thinking is a thought, right? So I want you to really let that go. Your brain does not have to be at complete stillness to meditate. With practice, your thoughts will slow, but you'll begin to really witness a thought and be able to move through it. Witnessing a thought that comes in meditation does not equal failed meditation. This is extremely important. I want you to let go of this excuse. My brain is too loud. I do not know how to silence my thoughts. That's fine. I promise it's okay. With practice, that will change. False thought number 4, meditation is not for everyone, and not everyone can develop a practice. Okay. Well, meditation is a mental activity. So if you have mental capacity, meditation is for you, and it's always available to you. Remember, it's calming the whirlpools of the mind, the churning, the thoughts. Who among us doesn't want to actually slow down the mind, right? Meditation is for everyone. It doesn't matter where you are, what you grew up with, what you've experienced, how you think. It is for everyone who can have a cognitive thought. Understand? All right. And lastly, at least for right now, that meditation is a struggle. This one always gets to me. What is struggle, right? You actually have done struggle. You've experienced it. Maybe you haven't thought much about it. Struggle is a mindset. It's a physical, mental, and emotional act, behavior, thought pattern. Again, you've done that. Meditation is the art of progression. It's the gateway to a better human experience. It's never about struggle, because the more you do it, the easier it becomes. We have to approach meditation with a mindset of allowing it to be what it is. Each time we sit to meditate, it's going to be different, right? And I think that's where a lot of the idea that it's a struggle. We want this practice to be exactly the same, feeling the exact same each and every time. But you have to understand, we must come back to the understanding that it is a practice. When you play a sport, it's going to be different every time you take the field. When you practice a new skill, you're going to learn something new and you're going to incorporate it day to day. Things will change. Meditation is no different. When we take the expectation of effort off the table, we remove the lack and struggle mentality. Peace is never about struggle. Peace is always grounded in ease. And remember, that is your natural inner being. We could dig through literally hundreds of false ideas of meditation, but let's gear ourselves towards the basics and doing the practice. And we'll start with the brain science first. By practicing an inward dive into meditation, you can help strengthen your neurological connections. Your brain cells go through a process of reorganization every single day as they adapt to the external stimuli and create new neural pathways. This process is called neuroplasticity. That's sort of the buzzword right now. Everybody's talking about neuroplasticity, about our brain, and this is that process. Neurologists and researchers have found that a consistent meditation practice can increase the gray matter density in the brain. Your gray matter is particularly important because it is how we use our sensory perception. It regulates our emotions. It has our memory retainment. It's where our decision making happens. And it is even the home or the hub of our self-control. Meditation increases the connection between the neurons and changes the density of the gray matter itself. The more dense the matter, the better the brain health. And that really does help us create new pathways. It's really amazing. I want you to think about it. Your brain naturally ages as you age. As you grow older, our gray matter really deteriorates due to changes in the prefrontal cortex, which manages our high-order brain functions like concentration. These skills weaken as you age. Meditation has been shown to also thicken the prefrontal cortex and literally reverse the signs of aging that happen naturally in our brain. That alone should make you want to make meditation a priority, right? The brain doesn't age as quickly. You're going to hold on to your cognitive skills. I'm all in. I want you to think about it this way. An unstimulated brain makes fewer new connections. However, a stimulated brain creates newer, greater connections. And meditation really has the power to be the fountain of renewed energy for those new pathways. And let's talk about emotional regulation within the brain thanks to meditation for just, a hot second. A consistent practice has been shown to increase the connection between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. With both in connection and working together, we have the ability to recover from stress quicker and with ease, with greater resiliency. How, you ask? Let me tell you. Because meditation relaxes the brain. Our brain is trained to look for patterns. It's the way it operates. When it sees stress, it's going to look for the factors, the behaviors, the thoughts that we've used in the past to really dominate or control that stress. But when you have been meditating and you really get into that state of calm, what's going to happen Your brain is going to try to slow itself down, relax in the present moment instead of entering fight or flight, and it's going to help control the reaction to the stress. This is the ultimate form of emotional regulation, right? Because the thought comes in, stress rises, you have an emotional response to it, you are moving yourself into action. But if you are already training your brain to seek calm, you're going to have the thought, maybe witness it, think about it for a moment, not allow the emotion to carry you away, and move yourself into a different action. We could spend the next 2 hours talking about the electrical activity of the brain and how meditation impacts the beta, gamma, alpha, theta, and delta waves. Yet, in an effort not to bore you to death or overwhelm you with science, let me break down a few simple and quick terms that are really going to help you understand why meditation is the healthiest thing for your brain ever, right? So meditation has been shown to increase our brain waves, which stimulates our good hormone levels. So you've heard about serotonin. It is the natural body's way of having an antidepressant within it. It helps us increase our happiness factor. Measurable changes of neurochemistry from meditation include our alpha waves increase our ability to relax. Our GABA, which is an amino acid in our body, increases and counteracts anxiety and stress symptoms, which of course leads to greater alpha waves, which means more relaxation. Again, the serotonin is increased, which helps regulate our mood, and lower levels of serotonin is often associated with depression. So if you struggle with that, know that meditation can be a very natural way to help you increase your mood, right? Your DBNF increases, which is the brain-derived protein responsible for your neurohealth, and it helps people with chronic pain and also depression. Our dopamine is regulated, which, it is the body's reward system. Research suggests that meditation results in improved self-regulation because the dopamine is higher. And lastly, our cortisone levels are reduced. You've heard about cortisone. It is, of course, your stress hormone that's linked to so many health issues, whether it's a heart attack or increased blood pressure, even a higher cancer risk. When your baseline increases and levels are too high for too long, that's when we get the inflammation, weight gain, and all of these other medical issues that can be avoided mostly by a healthier lifestyle and really by dealing with the brain's baseline. Meditation literally changes the brain's configuration. And what we haven't even talked about yet is how it helps us heal. We're going to talk deeper about that in just a moment, but just know that when we go inside, when we calm the whirlpools of our storyteller, our mind, we have the ability to see things as they are without all of the emotional inferences and emotional facts that we create in our mind. And it really does help us. One last really big medical thing that I want to talk about when it's connected to the brain is that we have a study from Harvard Medical School that shows consistent meditation really does help us lower our brain's age, right? So they were following meditators between the ages of 40 and 50, and they found after doing repeated brain scans that the gray matter of their brain was really on average with that of a 20 to 30-year-old. Can you imagine your brain nearly being 20 years younger than your physical age? Think about that now, right? That'd be great now because you have quicker thoughts and more energy, feeling greater happiness. But think about that when you hit 80 and 90. To have your brain really in the frame of a 70-year-old or a 60-year-old, but you're of that physical age, it is a game changer. That's why we have to start right now, right? I want to give you a real life example of something that happened to me when it came to the brain-body impact of meditation. Roughly 4 or 5 years ago, I guess it was now, I was having trouble with my arm. An old injury from a car accident, really began to flare up. I had torn both biceps by trying to control a car that we were in, and we were spinning after being hit. And both my daughters were inside at the time, and I was doing everything I could not to allow that car to flip. And it took a lot of strength, and it caused the tears. So I was having to go get a CT scan to find out what kind of treatment I would ultimately need. I was having trouble with even lifting my arm up above my shoulder length, and I was in unbearable pain for a couple weeks. And this wasn't my first CT scan, but it was my first CT after being a consistent meditator. I've never had trouble with those kind of scans. I'm not claustrophobic. Loud electronic noises don't bother me much. However, I was in so much pain that I was having a hard time laying on the hard table. The CT scan would mean that I would have to find some way to allow my arm to drop and lay against the table while my neck was elevated. The pain was absolutely excruciating. I mean, talking about even being able to take a breath and having that movement in my shoulder and my arms was, it was too much. I'm going to be honest. But I knew I had to get through it. And I knew the only way I was going to was to be able to breathe and to meditate. After the tech left me, I was moved into the machine, and I closed my eyes, and I let my breath and my practice carry me through the pain and the tight space. Now, during the first few minutes of the scan, I noticed I wasn't being moved in and out like I had been in other scans, but I just allowed myself to hold my meditation and not get carried away with what was going on and, being worried or even really focusing on the pain. After all, really what I was trying to do was give myself a pathway to just get through the moment. What I did not know was that there was a radiologist in the other room watching me get into a state of meditation. And that is the reason why I wasn't being moved in and out. He could see that my prefrontal cortex was lighting up on the screen, and he asked the tech to wait as he watched this light up and my breath deepen. Of course, I was hooked up to all the machines. So within just a few minutes, not only did my blood pressure drop, but so did my pulse, and so did my pain level. Because what happened was they began to notice that my arm was dropping to meet the table naturally. I was not given anything to help me with the pain. Now, after a few minutes, I was moved into the scan, and once it was over, the radiologist came out and asked if I had fallen asleep. He was trying to make sense out of the information he had been watching. And I smiled and I said, no, I wasn't asleep. I was meditating. My experience in that moment has been documented time and time again. Like so many others, they have been able to naturally influence their body, control pain, whether mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually, and really find that sweet spot in the brain through focus. And, they watched it. It was really fascinating. For anyone who's tried meditation and has called it a failure, or maybe you haven't tried it yet and you're worried about getting to that level of meditation, please know it doesn't take very long to get there. This really is a brain exercise, a training of the brain. So before we move into the how, let's talk about some other benefits of meditation beyond the brain. Meditation has the power to help you reach your fullest potential. Truly, it does. It's about learning to understand, accept, and heal who you are and where you've been so that you can really create the life that you are hoping to, manifest, to create for yourself. Like mindfulness, meditation is free. It's a beautiful thing. When I work with women and we talk about meditation, I'm often asked about needing that fancy space, the meditation cushions, the candles, the crystals, the mala, or the prayer beads, all of the things. I want you to know that you don't need any of that. All you really need to create a good, sustainable, consistent practice is nothing more than your willingness, your time, your dedication, the quiet, the breath, the attention, and your focus. That's it. All those other things are just extras, right? You don't need them. If you want to put them in, fantastic, but it's not necessary. So, other proven advantages of a consistent practice look like increased confidence. Who doesn't want that, right? Increased awareness, also much needed in our lives. We see boost in our happiness and our quality of life, reduced depression and anxiety. We see an increased self-control and focus in constant meditators. It's a beautiful thing. Improved memory, increased satisfaction and optimism, positivity, emotional stability, right? Big things. It helps us understand our pain mentally, and it also helps us reduce anxiety and get, below the surface of all the noise that we constantly experience, right? Meditation gives us a firsthand look at what's causing our discomfort. It can lower our stress. It helps us become stronger. It helps us with inner connection and outer connection. This is such a big thing. Meditation really is the key to receiving so many benefits that we think are outside of us, that we feel that we have to listen to all the things, read all the things, do all these little pieces. But this practice really embodies all of it. Now, here's the deal. You must create a solid practice to receive all of those benefits, right? We can't practice for one day in hopes that we have some major benefit. We can't even practice for 5 days inconsistently and really feel that we've made changes within our lives. Practice implies that we have to do something on the repeat. Like anything you give your attention to, you have to be willing to show up to it to see the gain. So I want you to really consider this as an exercise for the brain. It is you hitting the gym weekly to strengthen your body, but you're doing it in the brain, right? So let's go from there. Now, I told you that I would tell you how it changed my life, and it's a long story, so I'm just going to give you a few of the highlights before going even further. So when I started my meditation practice and it became a consistent thing for me, I was literally in the whirlpool of negativity in my life. I had major life experiences happening. My father-in-law passed away. 7 days later, my stepmom passed away. 45 days later after that, I was standing in the emergency room holding my middle daughter, Madison, who was in kidney failure and was seriously ill. The day after her kidney removal surgery, which ended up saving her life, I myself found my way into the hospital with a migraine that lasted for 6 weeks, right? My emotional pain had hit such a level that my mind, body, and soul simply could not take any more. I was burying my feelings. I was trying to barrel through. And guess what? It always catches up with you. A dear friend of mine continually pushed meditation. She was an instructor. She knew that that's exactly what I needed. And I gave every excuse in the book, the same excuses that I met with every time I suggested to one of my personal clients. And I just didn't want to do it. I finally was like, you know what, if you're not going to relent, I'm going to take some time to Google what meditation really is to find out why the hell I should be getting up at 5 a.m. to meditate. What is this really going to do for me? What I found, though, as I really dug in, was every single reason I should be unlocking my mental and emotional growth. I found the key to all of the emotional pain and the processing that I needed in that moment. And to be honest, had I not taken those steps, you and I would not be having all of the conversations, whether it's this one or all the other ones that we've had, because I thought I was pursuing my purpose prior to that moment. But that shift really brought me here. Meditation is the key. It's the doorway to your expansion and your growth. And as I began to meditate, something unexpected occurred. I met myself in every emotion that I had tried to push down, and I found my way through it. It was much more than breath work and sitting in silence. It was hard work, but it was so important for me to do it, and it's so important for you to do it. And my results have been, shown again, time and time again, for nearly every woman I've worked with and taught meditation since. So why and how does this occur? During meditation, you naturally learn to identify less with the mind and more with the soul, right? More with your life. It provides a way to tap into yourself instead of that logical mind that you use day in and day out. Do this, do that, have to do this, follow this rule. It releases that. Remember how I said this is the way to get back to your natural state of being? Part of that is really being unaware and letting go of the ego, your attachment, just so that you can begin to feel your emotions. Think about it. When our emotions control us instead of us controlling them, we tend to respond more negatively to everything around us. Little things like being cut off in traffic or a text message that you read the wrong way with a wrong intent can set you off in a snap. However, meditation can help you combat these things by giving you a non-attached look at your emotions. You really see it, witness it, decide what you're going to do with it. And then you really begin to breathe and use the center of your brain, your attachment to the emotion and the events, and you become less bothered by all of the little nuances in life. What is important becomes very different when you are constantly giving yourself the time to come back to center. It's a beautiful thing. Beyond the attachment, meditation helps you become more aware of your feelings throughout your daily experience. Most of our emotions run on autopilot throughout the day. We are aware of them, but we don't honestly stop and take notice. We can't examine their purpose if we're always trying to push through them, right? I want you to think about the start of your day and how that impacts your emotional and mental health throughout the next 24 hours. Maybe you wake up, you're rushing, you have to take a quick shower, you feel stressed by the day ahead, and you don't take a moment to check in, and all of a sudden your anxiety is through the roof. All you are doing is activating your fight or flight response. You're getting the cortisol pumping, you're lowering all of the good hormones. And as your stress hormone increases, your ability to control your emotions, it can flatline. Right? Yet, if you would have stopped, if you would have meditated, you could have brain hacked your way into emotional stability and less reactivity. Our brains are naturally seeking issue to solve, right? Naturally in a negativity bias to try to help us move through perceived danger and really make sure that we are protected emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And so studies have shown that when you meditate, you're less likely to identify so strongly with your emotions. And that allows you to become a master over your emotions and helps you really move through life in a much more grounded way, right? Okay, so those are some of the benefits. Now let's talk about what we need to do to avoid any pitfalls. Now, whether you are just now starting or you have been meditating for years, you need to listen to these because even if your practice is fairly strong, we can sometimes get into a place that we need to shake it up, right? To elevate our current routine so that we are not getting into a space that meditation is not working for us. This happens time and time again. It's happened to me, and we have to really begin to go back to that mindset of a beginner. So again, no right or wrong way to actually meditate, but there are some guidelines I want to give you so that you can avoid the pitfalls. So guideline number 1, meditation, my friend, is not a place to sit with your problems. Now, I just said you're going to be exploring your emotions and your situations. So how could you not be sitting with a problem? There is a difference, right? If you're going to meditate with a trained instructor, here you can meditate on a problem. But if you're doing it alone, try not to do that. You already know what you think about grows. And you don't want to enter meditation with a mindset of a deficiency or a lack or a perceived problem. What you want to do is go to your journal, write down your feelings, write down your emotions, and then try to breathe yourself into a space of calm to release what you just wrote, right? So there you're not sitting with the problem. If you were to just sit and meditate on the problem, you're not going to necessarily get the release that you're looking for. I'll say again, peace cannot be found in the attitude of lack. If you find yourself really weighed down or your emotions are boiling over, I want you to remember that you can always stop meditation, put it on paper, and come back to center. This is very important. This is how we bring our mind back into balance, okay? So guideline number 2, choose a time to meditate and stick with it. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you meditate in the morning, at lunchtime, in the shower, at night, during a walk, as long as you are consistent, right? We have this idea that meditation has to be a certain set thing. It can be whatever it is that works best for you, but you do have to really show up to it. At the beginning of your practice, right, if you haven't started or you're just really kind of fresh to it, I do urge you to try to do it in the morning hours. And the reason why is you really want to do it before the day gets underway and the emotions are there or your thought process is really not in a good place. This will help you kind of slow it down. And, do it with your coffee. Do it with a notebook. Take 5, 10, 15 minutes, doesn't matter, to incorporate the practice into your morning routine. And once you become more seasoned, it will be easier to move your meditation time around to meet your scheduling needs. But in the beginning, you have to make it a tangible habit that is going to help you produce results. Guideline 3, I need you to let go of the idea of rapid results, right? So speaking of those results, I want you to know that you don't just walk into meditation with a load of problems and a need for calm and walk out centered. It doesn't work that way. I want you to understand that it's going to actually probably be quite opposite. For a lot of people, meditation causes frustration because they do struggle with getting into that rhythm of quieting the mind. They do struggle with wanting everything to feel immediate. This is a practice of ease. It is a slow walk, not a run, all right? The benefits will come with natural progression, but natural progression only comes with time. Everything takes time. It's not an overnight state. What you're wanting to calm didn't happen overnight, right? So give yourself time. Again, remember it's a practice and you have to just allow, period. So guideline number 4, start small. And I mean very, 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 I'll say it one more time, very small. I love going big. I love thinking big. I love going all out. However, there is no time frame. There is no magic number of hours or minutes that will transform your meditation practice into a habit, into ultimate peace. Many beginners try to sit in meditation for 20, 30, 40 minutes when it would be far more beneficial to just sit for 5 minutes to develop the habit, right? So avoid setting unrealistic goals. Remember in the beginning that I said, get away from the excuses or limitations that are filling your mind. It's here that you actually want to check back into them. So if you said, I can't sit for 20 minutes, don't force yourself to sit for 20 minutes, right? Use your excuses to your benefit. Well, I can't sit for 20, but I know I can sit for 10. And that's where you start. Set a timer if you need to and really check in. How do I feel after 10 minutes? Do I feel like I can go another 3 minutes? Do I add another 5? What will your schedule allow? Start your day by using what works for you. This is how good habits fall into place, right? And it's a gradual thing. Guideline 5, witness your thoughts and invite them to go once they come in. Thoughts will come. Meditation has a way of bringing attention to the thoughts that we'd rather not deal with, because this is one time in your day where you're allowing yourself to slow down. Again, I highly recommend a notebook outside of your normal journal where you can write down the words that are coming into you. Once you witness them, they've been written down, do your best to release them. You can just say, thank you, I'm done with you now. Again, meditation's not a place to solve problems. So if you're weighted down in negativity, it's time to stop meditation. But just know thoughts will come in. Stop trying to work against them. Guideline number 5, know your reason. What is your reason for meditation? Is there something on that benefit list that you're trying to achieve? What about it will help increase your health? And whatever it is that you're really focused on, whatever your why is, keep that in the forefront. I've had women write down their why in the front of their journal so that when they feel like they're too tired or they just, don't want to carry on that day, they read their why and it gives them motivation. Guideline 6, be consistent, right? I said it before. I'm going to say it again. Show up. Again, this is a workout for the brain, a retraining, if you will. You can't get a six-pack by hitting the gym every, 4 days for 3 weeks. You can't get a stronger mind by only doing it inconsistently. So, show up. All right, guideline 7, let go of your judgment. Just like mindfulness practices and reaching for quality thoughts, meditation has a way of showing you what's really going on inside of you. And so you have to do this in a way where you hold no judgment of the storyteller, no judgment of your feelings, no judgment of your day-to-day. Really, what you're doing here is just getting to know who you are without all of that mess, without all the noise. Judgment does not belong in your practice. So again, each day will be different. Just show up and do it. Okay, now let's get you on the path to success. I'm going to give you a very basic meditation practice, a habit. This is the way to go inward to start. Again, very basic, very basic. If you feel like you need a little bit more, Google, get on YouTube. Join Insight Timer. It's free. I have guided meditations there for you. There are literally, I believe, 20 million meditators there at any given moment. There are all kinds of articles that can really walk you through if you just need a little bit more. But this is a very simple practice. So here's what you're going to do. You are going to select a quiet and calm space for yourself. This is a place that you can be alone without interruptions, okay? So maybe it's in your office, maybe it's in your bathroom, your closet, I don't care where it is, just a place where you can be alone that feels calming to you. This is also important that you pick a time to do it where you're not going to be interrupted, all right? So once there, I want you to get comfortable. You can sit on the floor. You can, sit in a chair. Try to avoid lying down when you first start. Really, what I want you to do is sit tall with your shoulders back. Try not to recline. Try not to slump, but instead sit tall with your shoulders back. We want to open our chest to receive all of the beautiful breath we're going to be doing. And then I want you to really, begin to think about what's most comfortable for you. Are you going to put your legs out? You can cross your legs. Everybody has seen all of those images of people meditating with their fingers, pushed together. It doesn't matter. Are you comfortable? That's what matters. Then I want you to silence your devices. We're so distracted in our daily lives. Meditation is not a place for your phone, your watches, your devices of any kind, right? Don't do it with the television on. If you become seasoned and you want to listen to music, that's fine. I'm just saying when you are just beginning, set a timer. I highly recommend that you purchase an old-fashioned kitchen timer that allows you to stay away from reaching from your phone or becoming entangled with social media or your emails. Anything that is going to pull your attention, just one of those old kitchen timers, set it for 10 minutes, 15, an hour, whatever it is, and have that near you. And once you do that, I want you to take a moment to set some self-boundaries for your thoughts and feelings. Take on that attitude of non-judgment. As I said before, while we meditate, you're going to notice thoughts and feelings. Here, you're just going to observe them. And if the thoughts and emotions will not pass, go ahead and label them. Label them for what they are. This is just anxiety, or this is just a thought. That's something to add to my to-do list, whatever it is. When you approach meditation in this manner, you take away the frustration. So once you've moved through all of those steps, you're comfortable, your posture is good, you've set a time limit, you know that you are entering into this space with no judgment, close your eyes. If that serves you, close them. And I want you to begin to focus on your breath as it moves in through your nose, moves all the way down your throat, into your chest, into the base of your lungs, all the way down to that diaphragm. Hold it and move that air back up, out through your nose again. Here we really do want to breathe in and out through your nostrils. That way we can control our breath and really make it a good focus point. We want to go in all the way down to the bottom of the lungs and all the way up. When I first teach meditation to someone who's never done it before, and we begin to focus on our breath, I really love for people to focus on the counting of the breath. Because when we focus, right, when we get our brains geared towards something particular, our brain has a hard time going squirrely on us, right? That monkey brain really heading out into the thought process or heading out into what's happening today or what happened yesterday, our emotions. So count your breath, right? Normally I teach a cycle of 108 breaths. That's an inhale and an exhale. And this really helps focus, right? So 108 times in and out. That is a really great meditation cycle. It is going to take longer than 5 minutes, and it really does help us get into that state of calm. So if you struggle with the focus or really having your brain all over the place, go ahead and count your breaths. And as you breathe, make sure that you do not clench your jaw or your teeth, right? Just allow yourself to be in a state of relaxation. If you are really focused, then start bringing your attention to the rhythm, the rise and fall of your chest and belly. Notice if there are any thoughts or emotions that are arising. Oftentimes, as we are breathing and we really are starting to just get connected with ourselves, we can become emotional. We can find this awareness within ourselves that feels overwhelming. A lot of women will start to cry. A lot of people will begin to notice that things are, in need of being seen and worked through, and that's okay. Allow what comes to come and just return to your breath. So as you're keeping that pattern going, start to welcome in the ease. Feel yourself gently relaxing. Bring your shoulders all the way down. Focus on feeling your best. Focus on your breath and just really soak in that calm. You've already experienced it before. You know what that feels like. Those moments of joy and calm that just has you taking that good, solid, deep breath. Do it, right? This is what we're trying to create. And as you continue to breathe, just gently move back into your experience. When the time is right? You know when it's time. Just allow yourself to come back to your space. Allow yourself to open your eyes slowly. Give yourself a small stretch. Move your shoulders up to your ears and back down. Take a few deeper, effortless breaths. Avoid jumping towards the phone, though, okay? Avoid trying to rush. Just let that peace you created carry you throughout the rest of your day. That is a very simple, basic meditation. It wasn't hard, right? We're focusing, we're sitting, we're breathing, we're relaxing. We are finding a state of calm. This will change as you continue. But remember, what you're doing is you're unlocking that original reset. You're finding the peace within the whirlpools of your mind. You're learning to let go. You're focusing on growth, on development, on finding peace. I promise you, when you make meditation a center point of your life, a daily thing, peace will have a way of changing you from the inside out. Again, time will change your practice. Let it. For me, what once began as breath, the 108, has become a full morning practice, a morning of setting intentions, I am affirmations, journaling, meditation, and a prayer to start each day that I'm fortunate enough to wake. But again, be a beginner, start small, return back to the beginner's mindset if you have been meditating for a long time, but it doesn't feel like it's working anymore. It's okay to reset. And as you do, a bigger picture will unfold for you. Your emotions will soften, your perception will change, your daily life will take on a greater sense of calm. There is beauty inside of you. There is so much within that, factory reset, that default that is so beautiful. There's beauty all around you. There's beauty in everything. Meditate, and I promise you will see it, both within and without. Just like any other tool, it's available to you at any time for free. And you deserve to find that kind of grounded peace. And of course, it is an essential step into getting your life together, girl. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. If you've enjoyed these tips for bettering your life, please turn on notifications to be alerted each week when 2 new episodes are released. If you're seeking daily inspiration and additional tools, please follow me on social media at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Or you can visit the show notes, my blog, or the website at getyourlifetogethergirl.com. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.